We saw, and I would begin tonight by first thinking in terms of how do we relate to God when it comes to salvation. What stance do we take before God in regards to our own salvation? Now we saw, and I trust by now, if you were here the first session, that in Psalm 69, which is a messianic psalm without question, it's quoted by Jesus in John 15, applied to himself there. So we know it's a messianic psalm. The psalmist is saying, I am suffering, I'm hated. Why? Without a cause. I'm suffering for no reason in me. I'm being required to pay back that which I did not borrow, which I did not owe. I'm having to make atonement for things I didn't do. That's the whole heart of the atonement, isn't it? In John 15, Jesus says to his disciples, they're going to hate you. Why? Because they hated me. If I hadn't come and showed them their sin, they could have got away with this little masquerade, this little charade, but now they have no cloak. They have no excuse. I've stripped the mask away. I've exposed them, and they hate me for it. They hate me without a cause, as it is written. It's fulfilled in this. Now there in Greek it's Dorian instead of kinam, but that's the very word we find translated freely. And we always think of free as meaning without price. But we begin to understand that the word is more pregnant than that. It's not only without price, it's without reason, without cause. And then we looked over in the book of Romans, and lo and behold, what is Paul saying in the gospel there? We've all sinned. We've come short of the glory of God. God doesn't owe us a thing except hell. But we're justified freely, the same word, Dorian, without cause, for no reason in us. We are justified freely through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus. Remember that Paul introduces that section there in Romans 3 by pointing out that the law's purpose all along was not to justify you. That's the mistake that Israel made. Seeing that this is going to solve our problem, let's just keep the law and we'll be fine in the sight of God. And Paul points out the purpose of the law is to reveal your sin. It's like somebody says, well, I'm never going to get cancer. And you say, well, why not? Well, I went out and bought me an MRI machine. I got me an MRI at my house. That's going to keep me from getting cancer. And you say, fella, I think you misunderstand. An MRI machine doesn't give you cancer and it doesn't cure you of cancer. An MRI simply reveals what you've got. It's to diagnose you. And that's what Paul is saying the purpose of the law was. It was never to justify you. It's to diagnose. By the law is the knowledge of sin. That's its purpose. It's to show you you can't be justified by your own doing, by your own merit. That's the purpose of the law. And then he says, but now this other way of being righteous in the sight of God is now revealed in the gospel. How does it happen? Freely. Without cause. In the object. No reason whatsoever why I should be saved in me. You see? And so when it comes to how we are saved, and by the way, my friend, if you are never saved from your legalism, you will never be saved before God. You come to God on the basis of quid pro quo and you will go straight to hell. And what I'm trying to point out is that all religions, with one notable exception, teach that it is by something you do that you gain your God's favor. The notable exception is Christianity. It's the only one that speaks of another way by which we can be saved, apart from our works, apart from our doing, apart from any reason or cause in ourselves. That's the uniqueness of Christianity. That's why it doesn't fit the rule. You can go to a comparative religion course in college and they will tell you that Christianity is just one of many, many other religions because they don't understand Christianity. They just see it as another system of do this, do this, do this. But if we truly understand the gospel, we're seeing that this is something Boy, otherworldly. This thing has UFO written all over it. It's something that didn't come from earth. It's something that came from heaven. And that's what Jesus claimed all along. He said, I'm not of the earth, you're of the earth. He's an E.T. He came down from heaven. He brought this doctrine down from heaven. It's not earthly. It doesn't fit the way this world thinks.